Alright guys, 2016 is just about over, and I've been trying to make a video here showing my top 10, or in this case, top 8 fishing highlights of 2016. We're going to start off with this kayak fishing up in Martha's Vineyard. I was up there with some of my friends fishing the Derby, and this was just a slow day of kayak fishing out in 50 feet of water. And I dropped my jig down to the bottom to mess around with like the little fish that live on the bottom, just to catch something, and end up hooking into something really nice. This fish is taking drag, and I have no idea what it is. It feels really big, and I can't believe it because like I'm expecting to catch like tiny little sea bass and scup and stuff, and then hook into something really nice. And what it ends up being is a foul hooked false albacore. And like false albacore is kind of what we were out here trying to catch, and like weren't catching up until this time. And then randomly I catch one, like the first one of the day, after hours of fishing, you know, on the bottom, hooked in the belly. And this tournament that we were fishing up here was called the Derby. And it's like a month-long competition that goes on up here. They give away a bunch of good prizes. And this is like an eligible fish for the Derby. And according to like the leaderboard, this fish was going to be like the first place false albacore caught from kayak in the Derby. So I was really psyched about that. That's why that's number 8. Number 7 is going to be Cobia fishing with Fineo Sport Fishing down in Virginia. I went on this trip with my buddy Bill and his brother-in-law, and I would put this trip higher in the list, but it was a chartered trip, and like I feel like I didn't really accomplish too much by going on this. So that's why it's number 7 and not number 2 or something. You know, these cobia are really sick fish. I've been fascinated by them for many years and never had a chance to catch them. I've always tried unsuccessfully, and I don't know, finally got like a good trip on like a charter boat down in Virginia on the lower Chesapeake, and was able to catch a couple. And that's Bill's brother-in-law reeling in probably a 40-pounder. And that was really cool, man. It was a good time. The fish fought great. It wasn't quite the size and numbers of fish I was hoping to catch, but you know, we had like a good chance at catching these fish, and I don't know. All in all, it was a good day. And the guy who runs the charters, Captain Austin, is really cool. He's the man. Catches these fish all summer long. So that's number 7. Number 6 was this kayak trip I took behind Atlantic City. This was just a few hours in the afternoon of fishing. I was throwing a Zara spook and ended up hooking into a shark. And I was targeting striped bass at the time, and really wasn't thinking about sharks. And then randomly this thing surfaces behind my lure and then attacks it, and like the surface explosion was crazy, and I didn't really know what was going on right away. I like was still kind of in disbelief of what was happening. And yeah, it was a good-sized shark, probably 60 pounds or so. And he ended up coming unbuttoned, unhooked at the kayak, which is all good. So that's number 6. Number 5 was catching my first sheepshead ever. And these fish were in New Jersey, again in the kayak. I was using light spinning gear, jigs, and chunks of crab, and ended up catching 2 nice sheepshead this day. One was about 6 or 7 pounds. The other was probably 9 or 10 pounds. This was the bigger of the 2. And yeah, there was definitely the biggest sheepshead I ever caught in my life. And the first ones I've caught in New Jersey. So that was cool. Number 4 was surf fishing the beaches of New Jersey this past spring and summer for black drum. And black drum are another species of fish that I don't really have a whole lot of experience catching. They're sort of elusive, they're sort of rare, they're not the easiest fish to locate and to catch, and the only time I've really caught them is from my kayak in the Delaware Bay, fishing anywhere from like 10 to 20 feet of water, or on my buddy's boat in the Delaware Bay. Never caught them from the beach until this year, and I went a bunch of times and I caught a bunch of these drum, and it was really cool. They fight really good. They're pretty hard to hook. They bite kind of weird, and they're just like overall just really fun catching new fish, and especially in situations like from the beach. You know, fishing the beach is kind of like the great thing. I don't know, it's great. But that's my buddy Tom. I don't know. We caught a bunch of these fish, so that's my highlight number 4 of the season. Number 3 is going to have to be catching this bluefish in my kayak off the shore of New Jersey. I was out here fishing for striped bass and ended up catching a giant bluefish, easily the biggest one I've ever caught. It was 22 pounds and it was fat, and I caught him on light tackle with 20-pound braid, 30-pound monofilament leader. As you know, bluefish have a lot of teeth, so this thing could have easily bitten through my line and I could have lost him, but for some reason he didn't really fight that much. I think he was just so fat that he couldn't even fight. But he was a monster, and he was really cool to catch. It was like a pretty slow day of fishing. I've been out there all morning and had caught one 27-pound bass off the beach this morning before launching the kayak. This was the only fish I caught from the kayak that day, but oh no, I will not forget that bluefish. I will not forget this day in general. I caught 2 nice fish, and I threw this bluefish back. I throw back 99% of the fish I catch, and that's because I have a lot of fun catching them and chasing them, and the fish I feel are just too valuable to keep. All the ones that you could potentially keep. This is a trip that I took with my buddy Matt. We were going fishing for red drum from the beach and ended up catching some striped bass. And what's crazy about this is that we are fishing an uninhabited island right now. Okay, there's no one on this island. We paddled our kayaks pretty far to get here, walked pretty far to get here. So that was crazy. And then, I don't know, let's see. I got stung by a stingray this day. That was the barb of the stingray. It broke off in my waders, like in my ankle. And I end up catching one of the biggest stripers of my life on this day, right here. Unfortunately, it was on my buddy Matt's rod, so it was kind of like half his fish, half my fish. It's his rod, his cast. I just reeled it in. So it was like kind of a pity fish, but it was still a really nice fish. And the craziest thing about this is that we hooked this fish by the line that was coming out of this fish's gullet. So basically, this fish had been hooked days prior to this and had a line that was coming out of his throat, and we hooked that line. We didn't even hook this fish by the mouth. We hooked that line right there. So that rig was just dangling out of this fish's mouth for who knows how long, and ended up hooking him like on the swivel of that line, literally from like the skin of his teeth. And the fish was kind of beat up. I guess he had been struggling with this for some days, and as you can see, he was kind of dead looking. Like there was no chance that this fish was going to revive and release. He was like half dead out there. He was like a ghost bass. I don't know. Even though we didn't catch any redfish this day, which was our target species, it was still really cool to catch some nice big stripers from the beach. And so that's my second favorite thing that happened this year. And the first thing that I really loved about this year was the fall run of 2016. Just everything about it. Mostly the blitzes. The blitzes of striped bass and bunker. Fishing on the beach, seeing just like millions of fish like swimming around, getting chased, eaten like this. Something about this situation right here is like something that I hold deep in my soul. I love this stuff right here. Every blitz, every feeding frenzy like this is unique. It's kind of like a tornado. You don't know when or where it's going to hit, the blitz like this. And then like randomly when like the stars align, you get just like this big union of bait and bass or, whatever other species of fish. But yeah, the blitzes were crazy this fall. I really enjoyed every single time that I saw like fish popping on bait. And in fact, like during this time, and even like up until today, like anytime I close my eyes, like randomly I will see like bait spraying. That's how much this stuff impacts my life. But yeah, the blitzes of 2016 were really good. 2016 in general was a really good year. My YouTube channel here grew a lot thanks to you guys for watching and subscribing to all my videos. And yeah, that's all we got for this video. But stay tuned. There are always videos to come in the future. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.